Jack Clark and Jim Weir, it's a pleasure to meet you both today.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
I like to say this to a lot of filmmakers, especially filmmakers that are just getting their feet on the ground. Congratulations on not only this film, but actually getting a movie together in the first place. I feel like that's often forgotten as the major feat. So well done.
It is. It's a small miracle whenever they get made, I think.
Absolutely. Now, talking about Bird Eater, how did this concept and the initial themes for the script come together?
We heard about this production company in Sydney called Breathless Films that wanted to finance a slate of micro-budget features, and we just had the initial idea for what became Bird Eater. So we just sent them an email, met them, and they ended up loving the idea. And kind of, we started pre-production really, really quickly. We started with the concept of a relationship drama with a couple that had separation anxiety. And then we thought, how do you separate this couple? A bucks party. As soon as we had that central relationship and the bucks party setting, that's when the movie kind of came to life. That's when we envisioned this ensemble of characters of boys who went to private school together, boys going out into the outback. Awful things would eventually happen. But it all started from this central relationship, Louis and Irene.
Were there kind of personal experiences that you were inspired by, or was this more just like a let's imagine concept?
There's always a little bit of you in everything. It's very hard for us not to. We will often come up with concepts for scenes or for long form projects, whatever, then later kind of pull them apart and realize they're sort of just weird mirrors of moments that we've had, or we kind of steer them to work towards something that we've experienced. So it's always a sort of a combination of multiple things. The characters are usually kind of original creations, and then we kind of put them in familiar scenarios.
I found the characters here quite fascinating because they're not all simplistic archetypes or anything. They all have layers. Was it all on the page in terms of their depth, or did the actors and the cast, did they bring something to developing that for themselves?
That was all us. They all took a lot of ownership over their characters, and in different ways as well. They're all very different actors. Some people would kind of latch on to incidental details in the script and kind of flesh them out into something with a lot more depth or layers, or sort of build it into their characterization. And other actors would be a lot more kind of additive in terms of wanting additions or change lines, or but it's all kind of they take to the character first and then really bring it to life in their own way. That's one of the most exciting parts of the process, I think, is kind of giving it over to somebody else and then they make it their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to surround yourself with the right people as well. So I think there's always something. There was always a little bit of the characters in everybody that we cast. I guess that's why sort of we were drawn to them.
There's a nice balance of quiet dialogue-free scenes and dialogue-heavy scenes. For those more dialogue-heavy scenes, particularly around the campfire or around the dinner table, was there an extensive rehearsal period for that, or did you guys take advantage of maybe a cold kind of open to that?
We tried to avoid too much rehearsing, just because you want to hold on to as much of that exciting juice for when the cameras are rolling. Rather than rehearsing, something that we told our actors is that they should consider every take a rehearsal. So we tried to remove the burden from the actors of finding like the performance from their characters. We'd say that's actually our job. It's our job in the edit to find the performance. It's your job just to rehearse different versions of what your character could do. And by the time we got to set, each actor knew their character so well that they could play slightly different versions while still being, somewhat grounded. So, we avoided rehearsals for the most part. Sometimes they're helpful. For the dinner scene, we did a few read-throughs, but we're always telling the actors just save some for match day. We don't want to go, 100% right now.
Now, talking about the actual shoot itself, how did you land on this the small town of St. Albans in New South Wales?
An hour and a half around Sydney metropolitan area. That was kind of the limit of how far you need to go before you can find, which is not very far, like isolated properties. It's pretty. That's a good thing about Sydney. You don't have to go very far. So we went to St Albans. It's fell in love with it very quickly. I think it's called the Forgotten Valley in the area for good reason. You're the only person who seems to know where it is. But we did have some trouble. It did flood. So it did bite us in the back after a couple of weeks of shooting. So we ended up actually having to sort of relocate upriver a little bit to Penrith. So the locations you see in the film are actually kind of like almost a 50-50 kind of melding of two different spots. Hopefully it's not too visible.
I'm sure there's some locals that'll be like, nah, that's not there.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have a lot of fans in St Albans.
You're shooting at night, you're shooting outside, you're shooting with trucks. I saw some horses there. Were there any kind of major incidents or incidents that you thought, man, this could derail this whole film?
Well, well, the most hairy stuff we did was probably in the back of the ute. So without, spoiling too much, there is a scene where a lot of the characters are in the back of a moving ute going through the bush at night. That was one of the few times where having less money we think helped us, because if we are, a $2, $3, $5, $10 million film, then you would have to do that scene with stunt coordinators, probably a rig, maybe green.
Yeah.
You'd have to do it properly. For us, the only option at our budget level was to shoot it as is, to actually just get everyone in a moving truck, get our DOP Roger strapped in with a big camera and just go for it. So it's not to say we didn't have safety precautions. We had, our own version of safety precautions. It kind of went remarkably smoothly. If you're riding a bike with a helmet, you're probably more likely to crash because... So I think everyone was kind of, all right, get on your A game, because if this goes bad, it will go really badly. But actually, the hairiest stuff was, there's like some B-roll of the ute driving when Louis is driving on ketamine, and you see the car swerving around different streets. Me, Jack, and our DOP Roger filmed that kind of without telling our producers exactly how we were going to shoot it, because that was legitimately quite dangerous, because the follow car has to drive without headlights on, or else the headlights will be in the shot. I was driving the ute, and I really tried to put myself in the shoes of Louis driving high on ketamine. I was thinking, okay, this guy is probably never going to use the brakes. I was like, okay, well, I probably shouldn't use the brakes. And that could have gone badly as well. But it didn't. So we got some good footage out of it.
Would have liked to have seen the producers looking at that footage later going, when did you guys do this?
It's like, oh, great footage, but like, we're not, thank you for not telling us.
Just stepping into this world of features, I know you both have experiences with other things such as short films. What's something that you both learned at making a feature film that you think, why does no one talk about this?
I mean, the stamina required is probably, it's talked about, it's probably glossed over. It's something you don't quite realize until you're in it, that it is a very long race. Not a race, it just kind of ends at one point.
Yeah.
Keeping your energy levels up creatively, emotionally, spiritually for however long when you're in post-production, that's the really tough part, I think. Like the really exciting parts, casting and the shoot as well. A lot of interest is always around the shoot, and that's hard and takes a lot of organizing. But like on the day, that at least for us, that's like the best time ever. It's just so much fun. Even the worst days are the best. It's the kind of the days when you're alone or with your editor, and everyone else has gone home and it's just you guys sitting at the computer for like weeks and months on end, and just losing perspective. That's kind of the hardest part. At least it was for me.
Yeah, I think that, and also something that doesn't get talked too much about because it has less to do with creative, but it's more to do with just people management, especially when you're in production. The whole cast and crew look to the director as kind of setting the emotional tone for the set. So if you are in a foul mood and you let your, cast and crew know it, it will infect the entire set. So you kind of always have to be on. You always have to be, fairly kind and there for people, especially on a low budget feature where people aren't getting paid as much as they should be. Keeping the vibe on set is crucial. That's kind of the only way you're going to get it done, is by having people who are happy to be there. Yeah, I underestimated just how much of the job in production is just kind of cultivating like a healthy working environment.
So basically what we've learned is coffees and smiles are needed.
Yeah. More. Yeah. Need great snacks. Yeah.
And great snacks. Congratulations on making what seems to be a film that's gathering a good amount of applause.
Yeah, it seems to be going well. We'll see how the release goes.
Do you guys have plans for anything else later, or is it still at the moment, let's just see how Bird Eater goes?
Yes, we are. We'll be shooting our second feature next year. All we're saying at the moment is it's a schoolies thriller.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much and all the best.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.